built my 1.5 inches of concrete, built my floor, had all the south-facing windows, got my little Sears temperature gun. First sunny day, they took the covers off my window, and I wanted to see that 120 degrees, I'm going to have free heat, and it was 70 degrees. 70 degrees. I did everything I'm supposed to do. Unknowingly, Minnesota changed their laws to low E windows. And you can't get any energy from the sun legally in Minnesota. I don't know what it's like in North Dakota, but someone should have told someone they changed the window laws. So we worked with Cardinal Glass, and they changed some glass, and it never worked. So we thought, hey, you know what? We got a great view. So, but the other thing is if you see my driveway is just, artistic strips. It's 65% less material. That's 65% less cost. It's like a sculpture. People drive by, they take pictures of my driveway. It's gorgeous. Cost me 65% less. 65% less environmental impact. My lot's sand. That rain hits it, it's going right down. No green points, because Minnesota Green Star, to get the points, I would have had to keep my storm drainage under the driveway. That would have had to retain the storm water. So I get no points for that, for having 65% less environmental impact. So the problem with green, it's 100% or nothing in most of these green programs. They don't give you credit. NHB Green does. But most of these green programs, you go, why would I do that? I'm just not going to do it. So we're in a very dangerous situation, because you'll see LEED and all this kind of stuff everywhere, but most of the people who are doing it are mandated by the federal government or state governments that you are going to certify that building LEED. And that's not right. People should do it because it makes sense. So we're in a very dangerous area right now for the green movement, because it failed 25 years ago. If we don't do it right, 25 years from now, the next generation is going to say, we need to have some green movement. That's my little soapbox. But I have a whole thing on that that's downloadable from my website. I'm sorry, and the gentleman, you had a question earlier?
Is where you can control the product that goes on the site.
No. I do what the developer tells me to.
One of the reasons I think this community is so blah and so lacks so much character is because we're quite different than a lot of areas where there are 40, 50 builders involved in the housing market, or more in our community, all of which have their own ideas about how they want to do something. And
yes.
Your land people are seldom involved in the building side. So you have to produce a piece of ground that accommodates what the builder wants to produce.
I will answer that. Yes, that is right.
Solve that one, please.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Solve that one, please.
Yes, I will. First of all, you have to understand that when we get hired, we don't get hired by the developer to do the conventional plan. So we already have an advantage that when they come to us, we're already going to be pushing all these envelopes. So we have an advantage that we will recommend. We don't demand anything. For example, in this development, which is what you saw earlier, and this isn't the latest drawing, as home shaping, the developer says the builder says this is a home pad. We could build a bigger home pad. So what we did, and the pad is part of the PUD, the Plan Unit Development Plat, is we've actually specified where the side of the home where the garage is going to be, and then we figured out what the biggest possible pad is to have enough space where we're not encroaching on the neighbors, have 2-foot increments on that pad so that you can order materials in 2-foot increments so it's less material waste. But in each and every case, the home is bigger than the actual pad. So part of the PUD and part of the application to the city was the reason that we're asking for this is so that it encourages the living area to be on this side so that the home can overlook this 200 acres to the north. So we're not really controlling what can be built. You can build a smaller home, which is the typical home would have been smaller than that. We're just, and maybe they'll put the cookie cutter home in there, but they're going to put the garage on that side. And then the homeowner already has an approval to expand into that space anyhow, as far as if they wanted to add an addition and stuff. So that is not perfect in a perfect world, but they don't know who the builders will be. But the home that they wanted for the original pad size is smaller in every case to those pads anyhow. Now, this would be about an $800,000 home product, so they're going to typically be custom. We will suggest that the builders and the architects or draftsmen be part of the initial workshop. This is how we work, okay, and we teach some of this, but not everything, because not everybody's going to work like me. Not everybody's going to do coving. But if we could just eliminate the waste and we could do some of this stuff, we've got major gains. We get hired for a style. So, and I like this style. I'm not going to take on a new urban job because we are with mixed use and urban, but it's our style mixed use and urban. Because that's what I like to do. I mean, I'm almost 60. How many more years can I do this? So the thing is that I have fun with it, and I will make suggestions, and if they don't take it and they end up with some cookie cutter homes, that still will be better than a straight cul-de-sac. We've done the best we can, but we are going to take the lead, and because no one's going to take the lead on this. And once we take the lead and we start teaching the developers, they don't use us on the next job, they will take the lead. And then the next person and the consultants. The engineers that did this, I saw the next plan they did, and they started doing this on the next plan. I was in their office and I thought, well, they're shaping the homes in that side yard. I don't care. I haven't copyrighted any of these commands, any of these methods. I did it purposely so that the world can benefit from our discoveries. I mean, copyrighted software, I mean, that costs me money, but we're out there to share the information. You know, the stuff that we got here is not rocket science. I mean, some of it is, but you'll learn enough, and you don't ever have to call us, and you can take these techniques, and it influences your design. It's sharing knowledge. But we have a system in place that we can change. And I was at an engineering firm this morning, and they said, well, how do you do that? You know, and we said, no, it's just a suggestion. Everybody wants to make money. So what happens is if we get the builders and we get the developer and we're at the engineers, we're the planners, and we're all in the same room, we say, look at these ideas we have, and maybe they say no. But if they are financially driven and market driven, all of this stuff is financially market driven. I mean, I hate to bring that up. I mean, I like to be this, it's all environmental and we're going to, you know, Shangri-La and all that stuff. But the reality is everything we do is financially market driven. There's an advantage to do this. Otherwise, we don't, you know, if it's a disadvantage, it won't get done unless someone's throwing tax subsidies at it, and we know how well that works. So we have to have it where there's an advantage to make more money. Now we're hoping that logic comes in, and they'll go, yeah, if we just do this, and what's it cost us to do a floor plan? That building is not a car. It's not stamped out. Every building, in other words, unless it's SIPs, is a custom-built home. Every building. So, you know, we look at what's the problem. You don't need a ton of floor plans to pull any of this off. So we're going to suggest it, and it's no big deal if, you know, if someone says, hey, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the best job that we can and the tools we can. And if they knock us down too much, we just say we can't do the job because we don't want to. I've walked away from a few. Yeah.
you very much. I'm Rich Schlegel, and welcome to Fargo. I recently moved 4 or 5 years ago from the cities and had a chance to spend time on 2 planning commissions down there, Chanhassen and Waconia, and a lot of what you've put together are reminiscent of some of the things we saw. But I share that with you because here in Fargo, it's an interesting place that we're at, and I'm anxious to hear what you suggest as our next steps, because we have wonderful developers. Steve Stoner here just mentioned a question. Ken Promisberger is going to be doing development. And each of those gentlemen are looking forward to doing, I think, different things and have done different things from what we normally see in Fargo. And Jim Hinderocker, correct me if I'm wrong, but in our process today, the Planning Commission, which I sit on, we do not see site plan approvals or do site plan approvals. We don't see really platted developments, which I actually think we should for major developments. And the challenge, I think, is staff, and they're wonderful, but it gets to a staff level for some of these key decisions, never really making it into the public view. So it's a builder or developer working with one staff member, and then you get the green light, 2 minimums, or maybe hopefully a little bit more, and the thing is on its way. So I'd like to know from your standpoint, other than the product you're selling, how would you suggest Fargo sort of take that first bold step to bring these groups together to end up with developments like this, which are absolutely attractive, to say the least? So just curious.
This was the first step. It's part of it is we're going to get a little bit more. You'll see us get a little bit more aggressive in the area with the consultants now that we have a product to sell. I mean, before it's we had a book and we were hoping people would spend the $49.95 on the book, but the problem with a lot of what I call would be Midwest growth is and I hear this a lot, is kind of a fear of this change, I would call it. And it's a thing that plagues the Minneapolis area. For example, Woodbury, you drive into Woodbury and you see great commercial development. You drive into Woodbury and you think, you haven't seen a single home, and you go, wow, this would be a great place to live. And as such, the property values go up. That's because Woodbury has a architectural control over commercial. And I know they hold their guns on that. And you've got some nice commercial areas here. I'm not saying you don't, but they have exceptional. Stillwater has architectural control on their subdivisions. But most cities are afraid that that will turn off developers or builders to come and attract. So what happens is the developer will go to an engineer. By the way, land planning, what's it take to, does anybody here knows what's it take to be a land planner? Put on your business card and you're a land planner. There's no registration for land planning. Land planning gets the work in the door. That's the first step. So everybody's a planner. All you have to do is go to those ordinance minimums, and your job is to, and you see that with the planning process. And the planning commission and the council has to approve it because it meets the minimums. But again, and it's again we write about it, what happens is a developer will come into